Bob Goodman is a legal expert for 1320 WILS and Fox News Radio. And we're going to talk about drones. They're exploding in popularity, but what's being done to keep them from spying on you? And now, Bob, I'm a little paranoid because I'm looking out our windows here to make sure we're not being spied on. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about drones. You know, here in Michigan, there's been a lot of discussion on how to manage them, how law enforcement should work with the private industry in drones. This is an important topic.
Well, it is. They started in the military, and law enforcement is now using them. Some employers are using them to assist in making workplaces safe, especially outside workplaces, mines, very large industrial plants, but they're coming into the inside of workplaces, and that's going to create a number of problems. And it's not only drones outside the window, it's drones inside your office. The law in the United States is very undeveloped in this area. It's only developing as far as law enforcement use is concerned, so there are going to be a number of cases that come up about what's the permissible use of a drone.
You know, it's amazing how cost-effective they are. A small drone can go for just under $40, and then depending on what you want to spend, you can find drones with cameras for less than $200. Should this be a concern?
It should be. They're very cost-efficient, fuel-efficient. They need minimum of recharging. I actually wrote a short story a couple of years ago about use of drones in the workplace in connection with a sexual harassment case, and all they need to do is recharge, but otherwise they can follow people around all day. And some of these military drones have sensing technologies that are not just cameras, they're listening devices, they're infrared devices, there are radars that can see through walls. Of course, that is more expensive, and the drones have to be larger to accommodate that, but it's really scary given increases in storage capacity in computers. If drones go the other direction, get smaller and smaller, who knows how small they'll be in 10 years.
And can a company use drones to spy on employees? What about privacy?
Well, most of the privacy law in the United States is in the form of court decisions that define when privacy begins and when privacy ends. And in the workplace, unlike in law enforcement, there are no constitutional limits necessarily on the use of drones. There's this notion that if people consent to it, it's okay, but we all know that the ability to consent in the workplace is less than outside the workplace. Sometimes you feel forced to consent to something. So I'm not sure that there is any current legal regime that's going to protect people adequately from having the line be crossed, whatever the line is in any particular context. Drone following you home, drone going into places within the workplace that are private. I mean, for example, there are questions about drones used in parking lots. A drone might be used in a parking lot to make sure that consumers feel safe, that if something happens to their car, if it gets keyed, that there'll be a film of it. Well, a drone might see an employee doing something in the parking lot that the employer disapproves of, whether that's smoking a joint, whether that's sleeping for a few minutes. It's a real problem, and the question is, can employers use evidence from drones outside the workplace to affect people in the workplace? That's one of many issues that could come up.
And you wonder if your neighbor gets a drone and spies on you for good or for bad. How do you handle that?
Well, somebody earlier this morning asked me about parental responsibility for kids using drones to go down the street and spy on their girlfriend. It's a problem. It'll come up in the workplace context. It'll come up in the social context like that. That's even without considering any law enforcement use of drones. And as you point out, they're getting so small that it's going to be hard for people to even know they're being surveilled. They'll be quiet. They'll be small. If you can control a drone, you can keep it behind a tree. I mean, you can do lots of things that were not possible before they perfected this technology the last few years to the point that it's under Christmas trees.
Are we doing a good enough job, and are we doing it quick enough to legislate this, and there can't be much precedent on this when someone goes to court.
There isn't really. There are some cases involving some crazy black helicopter type people who think that they're being followed by either government or private entities all day, and courts have seen those cases as frivolous because drones are probably not being used that way at this point. There's some law enforcement cases involving when drones hanging over your ranch or hanging over your home can go too far, staying there for hours, basically being a snoop. But in the workplace area, there are legislators all over the country who are trying to create a new legal foundation for regulating drones, and I think it's going to be a struggle because you have 50 states. I'm not sure the federal government can be expected to do anything serious about regulating drones in the workplace, and so it's going to be a very interesting problem to watch over the next, I would say, 5 or 10 years in particular.
And we've been talking with Bob Goodman, who's a legal expert for 1320 WILS and Fox News Radio. Bob, thanks so much.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a good day.